Hello, everyone. Have you ever wondered why your body seems to know exactly when to grow, eat, or even feel sleepy? It's like having an internal messaging system that's faster than texting. Well, today we dive into hormones, the tiny chemical messengers that keep everything running smoothly in our bodies. Here's a little joke to start. Why did the hormone go to school? Because it wanted to improve its message. Hormones are fascinating because they're produced in tiny trace amounts by special endocrine glands and then travel through our bloodstream to reach specific target organs. Think of them as very selective postal workers delivering mail, except the mail is crucial instructions. These hormones regulate a bunch of important processes like growth, metabolism, reproduction, and maintaining balance inside the body, what scientists call homeostasis. Now, hormones differ from enzymes, which you might be familiar with. Enzymes get used up when they do their job, but hormones just deliver their message and keep going without being consumed. When it comes to their types, there are two big families: steroidal hormones, which come from cholesterol, and nonsteroidal hormones, which include peptides or amino acid derivatives. Imagine steroidal hormones as VIP messengers that can slip directly into cells while the others knock politely at the door. Welcome back. Let's zoom in on the fundamental building blocks of nucleic acids, nucleotides. Picture a nucleotide as a three-piece puzzle. First, a nitrogenous base that can be either a purine or a pyrimidine. Purines are the taller cousins with two rings named adenine and guanine, while the pyrimidines are a bit smaller with one ring, including cytosine, thymine, and uracil. Thymine hangs out exclusively in DNA, but RNA swaps it out for uracil. Next up is the pentose sugar, ribose in RNA and deoxyribose in DNA. The main difference? Deoxyribose is missing one oxygen atom, giving DNA its deoxy prefix. Last but not least, there's the phosphate group. In a nucleoside, the base and sugar link through a special glycosidic bond. Think of it as a handshake between the base and the sugar. Add a phosphate group to the sugar's 5' hydroxyl group, and voila, you get a nucleotide. Now, imagine these nucleotides hooking together like a chain, forming phosphodiester bonds. The 3' hydroxyl of one sugar connects to the 5' phosphate of the next. This linkage is like the strong glue that holds the chain firmly, giving the nucleic acid polymer its shape and stability. Picture a detailed structural diagram showing atoms clearly highlighted. It helps to see how each part fits and interacts. So, nucleotides are the alphabet of genes, each letter carefully shaped to spell out the story of life. How exactly do hormones send their important messages? Well, hormones act by attaching to specific receptors, kind of like a lock and key. When a hormone finds its matching receptor, it sets off a chain of events inside the cell, what we call signal transduction pathways. For peptide hormones, this often involves secondary messengers such as cyclic AMP, which is CAMP for short, calcium ions, or molecules like IP3. Imagine these as little relay runners passing on the hormone's message inside the cell quickly. On the other hand, steroid hormones don't need to shout through secondary messengers. They directly move into the nucleus of the cell and bind with DNA to regulate gene expression, basically telling the cell which proteins to make or stop making. As an example, adrenaline activates CAMP to start a cascade of protein kinases, enzymes that turn on other proteins, preparing your body to release glucose, giving you that energy boost in a stressful situation. Picture a schematic showing how CAMP is produced after hormone binding and then activates the protein kinase cascade. It's like flipping a row of dominoes inside the cell. Alright, let's zoom in on some of the major hormones you hear about and what they actually do. First is insulin, a peptide hormone made by the beta cells of the pancreas. It's famous for lowering blood sugar by helping your body's cells absorb glucose. Imagine insulin as the key that unlocks the doors for sugar to enter your cells. Then, there's thyroxine, an amine hormone from the thyroid gland that controls your basal metabolic rate. That's your body's engine speed when you're just resting and helps synthesize proteins. Adrenaline, another amine hormone from the adrenal medulla, is your body's emergency alarm system, prepping you for the classic fight or flight response. Finally, testosterone, a steroid hormone from the testes, is the chief organizer for male secondary sexual characteristics like muscle mass and deepening voice. Imagine a table here listing each hormone alongside their type, source gland, and their main function, so you can see the variety and importance at a glance. Now, while hormones are superheroes, what happens if their messages go haywire? Let's talk about hormonal imbalances. Diabetes mellitus is a classic example caused by insufficient insulin, leading to high blood sugar or hyperglycemia and sugar spilling into urine. That's glucosuria. Hypothyroidism, on the other hand, is caused by too much thyroxine, making metabolism speed up so much that people lose weight and feel irritable, like having an overactive engine. Addison's disease happens when there's a shortage of adrenal cortex hormones like cortisol and aldosterone, which can cause weakness and low blood pressure, a bit like running out of fuel. Then we have growth hormone issues. Too much leads to gigantism, where someone grows very tall, and too little causes dwarfism, with much shorter height. Picture a flowchart here connecting hormone deficiency or excess to the disorder and then listing typical symptoms, a handy roadmap for understanding these conditions. Let's look at a simple real-life example to tie it all together, a person with high blood sugar called hyperglycemia. The goal is to understand how insulin helps bring blood glucose back to normal levels. Insulin works by activating GLUT4, a transporter protein that helps glucose enter muscle and fat cells. Once inside, glucose is converted into glycogen, a stored form of energy. Imagine this as insulin opening many small doors on the cell surface, allowing glucose to rush in and be stored safely, preventing high sugar in the blood. We can say glucose uptake happens through insulin-triggered GLUT4 mobilization, leading to glycogen synthesis. In biochemical shorthand, hyperglycemia leads to insulin secretion, which causes peripheral glucose uptake and finally restores normal blood glucose levels, or euglycemia. Visualize a flow diagram showing insulin starting the process, moving through GLUT4 activation, and ending with normalized blood sugar, like following arrows pointing to a healthier body. Time to wrap it all up with some key points and formulas. Insulin is a peptide hormone that lowers blood glucose. Simply put, insulin reduces blood sugar levels. Thyroxine, or T4, is an amine hormone that increases metabolic rate, so it makes your body burn fuel faster. Adrenaline acts by producing cyclic AMP, which activates protein kinase enzymes, setting off important cellular reactions, a clear chain of command from hormone to cellular action. Finally, steroidal hormones work by modulating gene transcription inside the cell nucleus, controlling what proteins are made. This neat summary shows how diverse and powerful hormones are in managing our body's functions. So, hormones are like the body's own text messages, tiny messengers that keep everything balanced and running smoothly. Whether you're growing, stressed, or just digesting your lunch, hormones play a starring role. That's it for today's hormone adventure. Remember, chemistry is fun when you can laugh and learn, so keep exploring and see you in the next session.